How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I'm going to give the royal family an update. This is a bit of a long video on Mr. Green's outright slaughtering. I mean, this shit is disgusting, and the crazy shit about it ain't even new. This is the fiber of America to eliminate as many of our kings as possible. And when I look at police, it doesn't matter what race they are all one and the same, because they have been compromised, especially our own, because I know they give them some type of test to see, are they going to go along and get along. So I found this beautiful picture here of Mr. Green's royal children. He has a son and a daughter, and you will hear them speak in a bit. So let's get into this, my royal family. And I'm going to be reading bits and pieces of things. And then I have a bonus video. It's something that I want to point out to the royal family that we need to stop doing. Okay. Bond denied for Maryland police officer accused of shooting handcuffed man 7 times inside squad car. So this is just talking about the onset, which we have already heard from the first video of the actual shooting, but it was something in here specifically I wanted to read. Judge Robert Heffron Jr. said he found convincing evidence that Prince George County Police Corporal Michael Owen Jr. posed a danger to the community. Owen's defense attorney had asked for him to be free without bond. Oh yeah. And I did see a video, but I can't even find it. I looked for a while. That the Fraternal Order, one of their spokesmen did speak and said that we shouldn't be quick to judge. All right. Some things that happen it speaks for itself. So we'll keep on our frontal lobe that Owen fired 7 shots at Green and struck him multiple times, according to the police report released Wednesday. And I have something to show y'all on that too as well. So now we're going to get into the next phase of this. And I tell you, my royal family, I really dug hard to find this press conference that Mr. Green's family, attorneys, and supporters at a press conference. And so when I went over to Facebook, you could barely hear it. Then I checked some other places, and they would just give you bits and pieces, but it was loud and clear. And I know I've been having some issues with the sound. I'm not no damn fool like the royal family. We know that they are playing with the sound. And I was telling my son, I noticed, I done done numerous videos that whatever venue you go to, that you go to, and they have a press conference and it's something related to us that's nefarious, most of the time the sound is low and it's kind of hard to hear what the people actually saying that's up at the podium. We can't really hear the reporters, so they purposely do this. So I thank our Father that I was able to find the full video of the press conference, and we're going to listen to it.
And we're going to begin, if you will, with prayer. And will you bow your heads as we pray? Father God, in the name of Jesus, we ask you to embrace this family. We come today, we pray for justice in the midst of violence. We pray for this family struggling for answers because another black man been killed in our community. And oh God, we ask you to empower the vanguards that reach out to put their arms around the voiceless. Bless, oh God, in the name of him who is able to keep us from falling. Might the people of God say amen.
Amen.
I'll give way to our speaker. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bob Ross. I'm president of Prince George's County NAACP. On behalf of the NAACP, we send our condolences to the Green family. And we stand with the Green family through their times of tragedy. This is a senseless murder of another black man in our community. And in the past 6 months, we have lost 2 black men to police brutality. Third one is paralyzed from the waist down. This particular district, District 4, is one of the worst districts in the county as far as police brutality is concerned, and don't truly represent the community. And we're asking for change in that. We discovered that this officer was in 2011 that we was involved in the Rodney Edwards incident in Landover. My past secretary called me last night to remind me, because I had sort of forgotten about it, because it sort of got under the radar. And the same officer was involved in that incident. And I'm glad that he's been charged so swiftly. Okay, but we need to go back and look at his record and get justice for the Edwards family also. I don't want to get into a whole lot of stuff. A lot of times when you talk, you interfere with the ongoing investigation. So I'm going to turn it over to the law firm that is represented is Bill Murray.
Thank you, and good morning. It's a bad day for this family, and we're here to demand prompt and thorough justice for this family while they are in terrible grief over the sudden loss of their loved one. We are here to demand prompt justice for this family to make them whole after the horrible and tragic and completely unnecessary death of William Howard Green, affectionately known to all of the people behind me as Boo Boo. He was a wonderful human being full of humor, life, love, affection, and he was close to everyone you see behind me now. And this family's grief can only be assuaged by not only justice for this officer, but justice for Mom and his 2 kids. We're here to demand that that justice be administered fairly and swiftly, both for the officer and for this family. The coroner has ruled that this is a homicide. And never before have we seen such swift and decisive action from a police chief, who we salute today for doing that, from Prosecutor Aisha Brayboy, your great state's attorney, and from your county executive, who is also mourning this tragic death. But that grief has to be translated into justice. And so we're asking that there be a thorough investigation, not only of the incident, but of this officer's past uses of force, so that justice can be administered not only about this, but about the totality of his existence as a police officer. And we also ought to look at the police policies,
Amen.
which have let this officer continue to serve, given his capacity to do what he did 2 days ago. I'm going to turn this over now briefly to Mr. Green's mother and to Mr. Green's 2 children.
That's your mother.
Take your time now.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Green, and I'm here for my son, William Green. He needs justice because it's just not right. I love and miss my son. I never see my son again. And something has to be done.
Thanks. Now we'll hear from his daughter. Step forward and identify yourself.
Hello, my name is Brenda Green, and William Green was my best friend, my protector, but most importantly, he was my daddy. We talked every day, sometimes twice a day. He would start my morning off by calling me and telling me to have a great day, and he made sure he ended it by telling me good night. I'm the true definition of a daddy's girl who no longer has her daddy with her. I dreamt the other day that my daddy could be able to walk me down the aisle, and I wanted him to be able to see his future grandchildren, but that day will never come now. Thank you.
Bless you. God bless you.
And now from his son.
My name is William Little. I don't really have too much to say because it's a lot to process right now. So I'm going to just keep it at that. We miss him, and we know that.
Bless your son. Bless you.
Now, what kind of man was he? A horrible loss that must be fairly addressed. I am too familiar with these constant police deaths and with this constant police brutality, and this has to go down as one of the worst incidents in American history, and it has shocked the nation. It must be stopped.
Yes.
The resources have to be gathered so that these things must be stopped. If it takes an overhaul of how we police, it must be done. If it takes more money to make people safe, it must be spent. So that never again will we see this phenomenon of death after death after death after death after death. We now open it up for brief questions.
Initially, the Prince George's County Police Department tried to justify the shooting by saying that there was the smell of PCP and that there was some kind of altercation inside of the vehicle. They came back and said that that was not the case. They didn't have any witnesses to corroborate that there was any kind of tussle inside of that vehicle or that there was a smell of PCP. What is the family's response to the attempt to smear Mr. Green's name?
We see this kind of smear tactic from police departments all over the country on a daily basis and cannot rely on them, unfortunately, to tell the truth, especially in the beginning. There's always a cover story. That too must stop. Any other
Do
questions?
you believe that the police administration and the administration here in the county are allies in your effort to reform, or are they adversaries right now? What do you think?
Well, I'm sure that there are elements in this police department, just like police departments all over the country, that are going to fight reform. That's what we see in Baltimore. That's what we see in Philadelphia. That's what we see around the country. We see it in St. Louis. We see it in every major city and in most counties. They like to do it the old-fashioned way, and this is representative of what that really means. And so I applaud State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy for her prompt intervention and the county executive's prompt intervention, because I think they mean business. And we will see in the days ahead whether or not they really do mean business. I know them both. I have faith that they will do the right thing, both in this case and going forward, to make sure that these events are at first minimized and ultimately eliminated.
You mentioned Chief Stewiski.
Now wait, let me deal with this young man behind me.
Mr. Murphy,
Right here.
do you have a sense yet of exactly what did happen?
No. There's been remarkable silence so far, although the police chief has promised to be fully transparent as he learns more and more about what happened in that car that day.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes, sir.
what precisely would you like to have happen now? You're going to have one track with this prosecution, and then what else? What do you want to see happen? What changes?
The first thing that will happen is that there will be a criminal case. I don't want to talk too much about that because everybody deserves a fair trial. But the next thing that must happen is that this family must be made whole. And the only way we can do that in our system, because we can't bring him back alive, is to compensate them adequately for this horrific loss that they have just suffered. I'll be talking with the county executive about that because that's her bailiwick. And I'll be talking with Aisha Braveboy because the criminal case is her bailiwick.
Can you talk to us about, you're seeking justice for this family, of course. Are you going after the officer, after the department, after both? What's the goal?
Well, we're not going to talk about the theory of what we're going to do on the civil side of this, except to say that those responsible for hiring this man, keeping him on the force, and allowing him to be in a position where he did what he did have to be brought to civil justice.
Can you talk about his rank at all? He was a corporal, so he moved up in the ranks some. Are you also going to be looking at that?
Yeah, we might look at that, and I'm sure we're going to take, as we normally do, a very, very comprehensive look at everything about this officer's background and everything about his interaction with the force as he moved from patrol to corporal.
Can we assume you will be filing a lawsuit?
Well, I didn't have to do that in Freddie Gray because the city did the right thing. But we'll see. We'll see. That depends on developments.
After some recent incidents, there were calls for the chief to step down. There's a petition that's still circulating with signatures for people saying that there needs to be a new chief. What's the family's position on that?
The family doesn't have a position on that yet because they are still in grief. And so I don't want them to speak about it, nor do they want to speak about that just yet. They'll wait and see what kind of job he does for them and their loved one. Any other question? Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit more about William? My understanding is going to get married. Yeah, worked at Megabus. Can we just get a little bit of sense of who he was so we can let people know about it a little bit more?
William was a fun-loving, peaceful, non-confrontational lover of everybody, especially his family and his close friends. He always made people laugh. He was the life of every party without being obnoxious or forward, and you couldn't help but interact with him without laughing or smiling because he wanted to spread joy and love to everybody. And all of these people are here today because of their interaction with him and their love for him. This has been the largest extended family to come together this quickly that I've ever seen in my 50 years of practice. Never seen anything like what is standing behind me. And I'm proud to represent this family. One more question and we're done. Well,
could you reflect a little on how this community has reacted? And what your thoughts are about how the community should be engaged in this?
You reminded me that I forgot to thank the president of the NACP for hosting us today. and for his commitment to justice and to following through concerning this horrible event, and to the Reverend in this case who gave us his church. That was a wonderful gesture. And his commitment to social justice. And so this community is coming together in force to protest yet again the death unnecessarily of a black man who didn't deserve it, didn't provoke it, had nothing to do with the rage that must have ensued inside of that squad car that produced 7 shots, 6 of which contributed to his death. All right. Thank you for...
One more thing. The families the other day initially spoke and said they haven't gotten any answers. Have you still not gotten any communication from the police department, anything at all, beyond the charges?
Well, if you watch the police chief's press conference, he was in shock about this incident, and I thought he was very forthcoming about it, and we hope he keeps his promises to thoroughly investigate it, to release a report about his the officer's prior conduct, and to make sure that justice is done in this case. So we viewed his statements with optimism. Likewise, you have a great state's attorney. Aisha Braveboy is tremendous, and we have faith that she's going to follow through. And you have a great new county executive who was a great state's attorney before her. So there are 2 prosecutors, one current, one ex, who are looking at this, and they were superb in the past. The county has confidence in them. The black community has confidence in these 2 women, and I have confidence that they will be fair and swift, both in terms of dealing with the criminal aspect of this case and justice for this family to compensate them for their tremendous loss.
Mr. Murphy, I don't want to hold you up, but I think this might
Yes,
be...
you do.
I think it might be important.
Go ahead.
The Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights was founded in Maryland in the 70s.
Yeah.
I've noted that it may make the prosecution of this officer more difficult, and it may make revealing facts more difficult for a fact finder such as yourself. Do you have any thoughts about reforming this in our state and others?
I've said many times before that the Police Officers Bill of Rights is a misguided attempt that resulted in police getting absolutely more protection than an everyday citizen. And they don't deserve that. They deserve justice just like citizens do. They should make prompt statements like citizens do. They should not be given the time to cover up their crimes, which the Police Officers Bill of Rights was designed to give them to do. And so I have real problems with the Police Bill of Rights. For the last 10 years, we've tried to get it repealed in the legislature. You probably covered that. And there are people who don't understand how pernicious and how ill thought out that is. This is one of the worst enactments I've seen. If you want to have a great police department that's not going to hide behind the blue wall of silence and concoction and cover up, it's dreadful.
Is it too early to say that there is a blue wall of silence and a cover up in this case?
No, we don't have any evidence of that yet. What we think happened is that the officer made a statement which resulted in the initial attempt to cover this up. Could have only come from him, unless there was some collaborative effort to whitewash it that did not include him. But we suspect that the first false statement about what happened in that car came from the officer himself.
Could you give us a timeline of what led up to the shooting, where he was earlier in the evening, where he was at a restaurant?
I don't want to discuss the facts in any significant detail. I avoided that during this press conference because it's too early to do that. I don't want to make any mistaken statements or allegations. Let's just relax and try to get to the bottom of this and do it by some hard work. We have investigators in the field right now as we speak who are knocking on doors looking for witnesses. We think we've come up with some additional video. And until we get a clearer picture, I think it would be imprudent to say more than what we've said today.
Can you speak to how you believe the cell
We're going to
phone
call
video
you all the big three.
from
The big four.
Can you speak to how the cell phone video in this case may have contributed to this officer's charges? Prince George's County does not have mandated body cameras for all of their officers.
Let's talk about that first. Like so many union-driven police departments that resist reform, the police have resisted for years the increasing call for police body cameras. That's disgraceful, because if they're operating in accordance with the highest principles of justice, what do they have to fear by being recorded? Now, the excuse I hear about why this officer didn't have a video camera is because most of the officers in Prince George's County, let me repeat that, most do not have video cameras. It is the exception for an officer in this county to have video cameras. And I'm told that was because there wasn't enough money in the budget to get them all cameras. That has to be redressed promptly, or else we'll keep getting cover-up after cover-up after cover-up, and instead of justice, we'll get unjust results. Now, about cell phone cameras, big fan. And I hope the residents of the county who hear me today will continue to be vigilant and video every police encounter they see, without interfering, of course, with what the police have the obligation to do with the suspect. Time and time again, those cameras have prevented cover-ups. And so we salute the citizens, and we ask even more to come out. And the citizens of this county should tell us how they feel about not only this incident, but the pattern that seems to be present both in this county, in our city in Baltimore, and across the nation. It's dreadful. It's horrible. Racism is a horrible thing. It's killed people, maimed people, destroyed families, destroyed the economy of the community, prevented people from living full lives. I hate it, and I hope you do too. With that, that's it.
All right.
Mr. Ross, thank you for being a wonderful host.
A couple of things before we go. I'm glad we talked about the Bill of Rights, Post-Bill of Rights.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there. Whew, this shit gets on my nerves. Before I get into the other stuff, what these pastors, NAACP, who's funded by the enemy, gatekeepers, slick lawyers with double tongues, the position that the royal family is in, we cannot trust no one at all. You know, I don't like how the attorney was talking. He know how this shit is gonna go down. We know how this shit is gonna go down. We're not a protective class. And as far as the world is concerned, Yahweh children have no value. Y'all will see soon, very soon. I cannot convey to you how soon. I often say, I know what I heard and I know what I sing as we continue on. So, let's go over here. So I had got this from ABC 7 News, and It's not the full document, but I'm going to damn sure read it because I love finding receipts about this case. So they have up here, sleeping, the defendant and the defendant and witness 2 approached the decedent. Okay, they speaking of him as dead already. Vehicle and observed the decedent inside the vehicle asleep. The decedent was removed from the vehicle and appeared to be under the influence of unknown substance. So now they're saying that he's sleeping in the car. Well, initially we heard that he was hitting cars and possibly under the influence. The defendant then handcuffed the decedent behind his back and placed him onto the front passenger seat of the defendant's police cruiser. Approximately 5 to 10 minutes later, witness 2 heard gunshots, and when he went to the defendant's vehicle, he observed the decedent still seated and handcuffed behind his back. Still seated and handcuffed behind his back in the passenger seat, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The investigation revealed that the defendant fired his gun 7 times, striking the decedent multiple times. A subsequent search of the decedent person in the officer's vehicle were conducted and no weapons were found. In addition, the investigation failed to uncover any evidence of an altercation between the decedent and the defendant. The decedent was thereupon removed from the vehicle, and when paramedics arrived, he was still handcuffed behind his back. Paramedics and officers removed the handcuffs from the decedent. The decedent was transported to United Medical Center, where he succumbed to his injuries. He was dead on arrival and stuff. So that's all I can get from some report that from some reporter from ABC 7, and I couldn't find anything else, but when I do, I will present it to the royal family. And so as we continue on, when the lawyer was speaking, he was trying to sort of give the impression that they were trying to do the right thing. So this is from the Washington Post, and they said police initially said there were witness report of a struggle inside Owen's cruiser, but in court documents filed Wednesday, police said they could find no sign of a struggle between Owen and Green, and no weapon on Green. The officer shot someone 7 times who was absolutely no threat and had his hands behind his back. Okay, Assistant State Attorney Renee Joy said during the Owens bond hearing. All right, so I couldn't find a recording of the bond hearing, but this is something that I also want to point out to the royal family that we need to stop doing. I'll just let it run and then I'll pick it apart.
We have really been grief-stricken with the family, and that we as a community have grieved with this family today.
County Executive Angela Alsobrooks expressed her condolences for the family of 43-year-old William Green on Tuesday evening.
There is absolutely nothing that is acceptable about this incident.
Her remarks next to the state's attorney Aisha Bravoy and Chief Hank Stawinski comes moments after Corporal Michael Owen Jr. was charged with second-degree murder, manslaughter, and assault in connection to Green's death on Monday night.
I have concluded that what happened last night is a crime.
Stawinski says Owen shot Green 7 times while he was handcuffed in the front seat of his cruiser following a traffic stop.
We don't understand why they just, if it was an issue, which it don't look like it was, why didn't they just tase him?
Family members say Green was returning from a restaurant when he was pulled over by Owen just before 7:30 p.m. Witnesses told police that Green hit their vehicle. He was believed to be under the influence of an unknown substance.
It's just baffling because he was handcuffed with his hands in his back. Why did you have to shoot and kill him?
Green's sister-in-law remembers him as a loving father of 2 who was generally calm.
Because he doesn't react to anything in a negative way. He was a very fun and loving family man. The family is very heartbroken.
All right, my royal family. Okay. Let's go back here. I don't want no pop-ups. Let me see if I can refresh this. Now, I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to freeze it. See if we can get this thing going. Running a little bit slow. Here we go.
We have really been grief-stricken with the family, and that we as a community have grieved with this family today.
County Executive Angela Alsobrooks expressed her condolences for the family of 43-year-old William Green on Tuesday evening.
There is absolutely nothing that is acceptable about this incident.
Her remarks next to the state's attorney Aisha Braveboy and Chief Hank Stawinski comes moments after Corporal Michael Owen Jr. was charged with second-degree murder, manslaughter, and assault in connection to Green's death on Monday night.
I have concluded that what happened last night is a crime.
Stawinski says Owen shot Green 7 times while he was handcuffed in the front seat of his cruiser following a traffic stop.
We don't understand why they just, if it was an issue, which it don't look like it was, why didn't they just tase him?
Family members say Green was returning from a restaurant when he was pulled over by Owen just before 7:30 p.m. Witnesses told police that Green hit their vehicle. He was believed to be under the influence of an unknown substance.
It's just baffling because he was handcuffed with his hands in his back. Why did you have to shoot and kill him?
Green's sister-in-law remembers him as a loving father of 2 who was generally calm.
Because he doesn't react to anything in a negative way. He was a very fun and loving family man. The family is very heartbroken.
Okay, so y'all caught that part where she said they could have just tased him. Now our folks need to stop that shit where she's saying, let me get over here to his family's picture. First she's saying, this is baffling or whatever. And he wasn't doing anything and all they could have just tased him. People have died from being tased. No. See, we are so affected by the system. We must demand you don't inflict no harm, no tasing, no hitting with a billy club, no nothing, no twisting, no arm, no nothing. You keep your hands off of our royal bodies. And we sitting up here talking about this shit. Well, all they could have just tased him, but he wasn't doing nothing. He wasn't harming no one. He was fully cooperating. But because of who he is and what they perceived they thought he was doing, saying it was PCP, maybe it could have been a medical issue. I've seen that. It was a brother had a medical issue and the cops put so much mace in his eyes, that man was messed up. But see, when they come dealing with the royal family, and this ain't nothing new, full throttle, kill. That is it, and that is all. And I'm tired of these gatekeepers. They had them kundalettes up there the other night trying to assist the chief of police. Then you got this attorney who's representing, I've seen him around for years, representing them, selling them false hope, like the enemy gonna do the right thing in their system. the very system that they created to oppress the royal family. That is unacceptable to me when somebody say, your family member dead. Well, they could at least tase them. No, you don't touch them. Boy, we messed up. I got to get off of here. I'm so heated, my royal family. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What a shame, what a shame. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.